Well, hello, everybody. I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. This is going to be an exciting time. It's one of the things that we do behind the scenes that are so important to do, and that is as club secretaries. Our speaker tonight has to be Karen Edwardson. She's from the Lake Forest Park, and she'll be taking some time and answering some questions. What I'd like you to do is make sure that you remain muted at this time. And if I see you unmuted, I'll just go ahead and mute you. If you have any questions, put them in the chat box and we'll return to the chat box, and also we'll have a Q&A at the end. So what I'd like to do at this time is introduce Karen. Karen, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Bill. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for signing up to get some information on being a club secretary. As Bill said, I'm from the Lake Forest Park Rotary, and I've been a secretary for 10 months now. So I am not an expert, but I have had a kind of a big learning curve this year. And so hopefully what I can share with you, you'll appreciate and be able to take off from there. Being that you've signed up for this class, I'm going to presume that all of you are are rookies for being secretary, if I had to guess. So we'll just start with some of the basics of what a secretary is supposed to do, and we'll go from there. Bill just shared that I worked on PowerPoint last week, and it's been a long time since I have put together a PowerPoint presentation, and so I thought I'd do the little Rotary emblem, and I guess that's an old, outdated one, so I do apologize, but I thought it looked pretty good, so I put it in, but it's we've updated it since then. Okay, so the secretary, as you can all guess, is a very important job, and what I have found is that it kind of helps everybody be organized if you're organized. And I found that I almost have to be one step ahead of what others are thinking. And they say, oh, we need the badges for this meeting. You might want to order it. And I say, well, I've already ordered them and they're here. So that kind of thing helps people out a lot. You will work very closely with the president, hopefully, and the treasurer, and so that you don't repeat duties, and that you maybe meet or talk on a weekly basis to kind of plan out the week, see what what needs to be done, who's going to take on that responsibility. So I think that having a close relationship with the other board members obviously really helps a great deal. So I'm going to start with my first slide. And the secretary's primary roles. Some of this is from the training that I took last year, and I've sort of expanded or taken out, eliminated what I don't do or what I do. The primary roles, there's a lot of other roles, but this is what I have found that I do the most of. For our club, all the supplies are ordered through me. We use a company called Russell Hampton, and I don't know if that's what your club uses or not, but for badges and pins and all the Rotary pencils or whatever people want, any of the supplies, that's who we go through, Russell Hampton. Obviously, you record and take weekly attendance. And I know there's only a couple clubs that are not on DAC, so I'm just presuming that I'm going to talk about DAC DB, because I think, the vast majority of the clubs are using DAC. So you will record your attendance on DAC every week. And I'll talk about that a little bit in a bit. Update membership records. So people are joining, they're terminated, they change their addresses, change their spouses, whatever the case may be. It's really important to keep those up to date. You obviously, when you go to the board meeting, the club board meeting, you write the minutes and you publish them. You send them out to your board for approval, and then you download them onto DAC so that your members can read the minutes as well as just the board. Through our website, if there's any inquiries or somebody wants to be a guest speaker or whatever, it's my email that's on the website. So I get all of the requests or information, and I am the person that sends it out to the members. And so, or to the president or whoever this should be, directed towards. Sometimes the district will ask me to get information out to the members, and RI Rotary International as well. Update the rosters and positions. You'll be doing that. Maybe your previous secretary will have done that, but you will need to update, who's the new president, who's the new board members, and update that on DAC and the positions that they are going to be covering this year. And that needs to be done on a yearly basis, obviously. I am really lucky in my club because we have someone who does the newsletters, we have someone that does the web page, another person does Facebook. And so we've got different members that are assigned, these different ways of communication. We even have a person that is always in contact with the Shoreline News paper. So I don't have to do that. But if you don't have anyone that's willing to update the newsletter or the webpage or whatever, that may be you. I guess I've been pretty lucky, but just all the communication. Okay, next page. When you take over July 1st, I would think that these things you need to be really familiar with and have already covered them. I think it's very important, if you don't know your club's policy and procedures, is to get a copy of that and go over it a few times so that you just have a pretty clear understanding of how your club operates and what's appropriate and what's not. You may have a manual, your bylaws, all of sort of the legal documentation you should at least read over a few times to become familiar with. What I did last spring is that I had about a 3-hour session with the former secretary, and the former secretary, I think he was in office for 3 years, so he really knew his stuff. And he walked me through a lot of DAC. And I was so lucky, and something that hopefully you guys have, you will be given. But Larry had made up in notebook form the step-by-step procedure of different things that I needed to do. Tabs such as just an introduction, how to do attendance, how to do reports, how to do P-mail, how to change information of members, things like that. And we went over it, and of course you kind of forget most of what you're being trained to do, but at least you have an introduction. And hopefully your secretary will be open to meet with you or to at least answer questions that you may have. I talked to Larry for maybe the first 3 months quite a bit, just because I was stuck and I thought, I know he knows the answer. And, you know, how do you do this? Or I forgot how to do that. And I highly recommend that. And I'm very hopeful that your secretary will help you as you kind of ease into this job. I attend all the board meetings, obviously, to take minutes, but I think it's really important for secretaries to be part of the membership committee. And the main reason is there's a lot of toggling back and forth when you have a potential member and, you know, they are, and you kind of start filling things out on DAC and you just need to know what membership is doing for new members or members that are terminated. And I find that if I'm part of that committee, then I am tuned in to what is happening with new members. And so I highly recommend that. And even if you don't want to be a member of it, show up for the meetings, just so you know what they're doing. I find that I'm very involved in new members with DAC and getting the information, and I'm the person who gets the information out to the membership for voting for new members, and I do a lot of that behind the scene work. So I recommend that. And then, and we'll get to this in a minute, but online training sessions, there's a lot of them for secretaries. And I have never really been to a big conference in person because we haven't met. And I do miss that. I really wish that I had been able to participate in that, and hopefully soon those will be back up and running. So if I had to guess, if you're anything like me, this is what I was the most concerned about, is how to, function with DAC. It's not an easy database, I think, to learn. But once you get going on it, it will, it'll all kind of fall into place pretty easily. So what I do with it, and again, it kind of depends on, how much you take on or whatever, but this is what I do mainly, is weekly attendance and then monthly attendance. Every month you have to submit your attendance to the district so that they kind of see what percentage of the members are showing up. You have to add all the members that are coming in, have a complete record of them. There's about 5 tabs that you need to fill in, pictures, that kind of thing. And then I train the new members. I don't train them. I show them how to use DAC. Now they have a very low level of security, so they can only sort of look at the overall members, their telephone numbers and addresses, and then themselves. And we'll talk about levels of security as well. Keep it updated. You send emails, which is like email, but it's through DAC. So, there'll be many times when you want to have some kind of communication with your entire club, and you go through email and send it that way. I don't know if any of your clubs have done engagement. We were trained with engagement, and everybody just thought it was way too much work this year. But what engagement is every time a group meets, the committee chair will count the hours and then ask the secretary or do it themselves to document that on DAC. So for example, if, working on the Christmas tree, the sharing tree down at the mall, then the committee chair, you know, says, okay, and we all worked, these members worked 5 hours each, and then you document it. We started that. We found that most clubs did not participate in it. I offered this year, if the committee chairs wanted to let me know who participated in what activity and for how many hours, that I would input it, and no one ever called me up. So but that is something that I think the district really would appreciate every club doing, but I don't think it's going to happen personally. As I said, in early July, everybody will be shifting around as far as their positions, and on DAC that needs to be done. And there are security levels on DAC. So if you are just a member, a normal member, then you would be like, for example, security level of 1. If you're a committee chair, you're a security level of 3, because you can go in there and so do this engagement model. I'm a 4, president's a 5. They can use, you know, you can go deeper and deeper, and there's different layers depending on your positions. So all that kind of stuff has to be done before you begin the year. And as I said, it might be really nice if you sat next to your secretary, outgoing secretary, and the two of you do it together, so you sort of have an idea of how this works. Also, once a year, Rotary International wants us to compare what they have and what we have on DAC, and that's called RI integration. And there is something on DAC where you go back and forth to make sure that the addresses are the same. They will tell you in red if they don't match. And then I always upload the minutes from the board meeting through reports and put them on DAC. And then I let all the members know that the minutes are there if they have any interest in reading them. Oops. So I started out typing this up, and then I thought, well, you know, you just can't read it and understand it. So I sort of thought, well, how can I show you where to go to start training with DAC and let you kind of fiddle around with it a little bit. So I'm going to actually skip this page, because what I did was I just took a screenshot of DAC, and the best way to start learning and kind of navigate and toggle through this all, with my glasses on, because these are little tiny print, is that when you go into it, instead of automatically hitting my club, which will give you all the information of your club, go to support and training. And there's 2 things on here that I think are real helpful, and I have used it often, is that if you will see on the left hand side, it says DAC training in blue. Those are previous tutorials that have been recorded, maybe like we're doing right now, and they will have the title, and if it's something the secretary needs, you know, you can sit on your own and listen to the instructor on a certain skill with DAC. So I have found that very helpful. They're usually not more than 15-20 minutes, and you know and it gives you a good starting point. Also, under here, questions to ask, the question mark, is topics. So the frequently asked questions that you may have, you just scroll down and open one. So if you'll see on the left-hand side, like attendance, well, you just click on attendance and it will show you step by step. It'll be written down step by step how to get into the attendance module and how to take attendance. Minutes, reports, just, there's just different topics. And I've opened up one. So, the question, login issues, how do I change my email address? How do I get a Rotary International under membership ID for a new member? I mean, how do you do that? And so I just have found it extremely helpful, and when it usually will answer what I need answered. So this is very valuable, the support and training. There were a couple things that I just could not figure out. Previous secretary could not figure out. And so I have found that the support ticket or help desk, they are very good about getting back to you. And if you can't figure out what they're trying to say when they have type it in, I call them and we just go through it on the phone. And sometimes, I'm almost embarrassed to call, like I try to figure it out for about an hour and I think, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not going to figure this out. And I call them and they are just lovely people. So don't be afraid to do that. And I don't know how long I can say, oh, I'm brand new at this. And, it's probably getting old, but they're anyways, they're delightful people. So, so this is sort of is very, very helpful for you to know about this. And I think it'll get you started, at least, if nothing else. And I don't have, when I did a screenshot, I was not able to hot link it, but I think, the next few days or so, why don't you just play around at least with this page, and then, you kind of get an idea of what that's all about. So that's about all that I have, and I would love some chats. And Bill, if we want to open it up here, I'll do the best I can to answer any questions that you might have.
We had one question that came through the chat. Oh, there we go.
Okay,
and that is about the book that Larry had for you. Is that something that you can duplicate and send out to the group? It's quite a big book. So
it's a big book. It's this big, so probably not. I know. Yeah. I can ask Larry if he has it all on, if he has it saved, because he made a hard copy for me. But I can ask him. And where, Bill, would if he says sure,
just give it to me, and then I'll put it inside a Dropbox, and I got everybody's email here that was here,
okay.
And then I'll share the link at that time.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I will ask him. He's coming back from Europe tonight as we talk. So, okay. But it's been very helpful. Some of the main ones.
Also, somebody wanted to know if they could see the slides, and so I'm putting that in the chat box right now. So
okay.
When you see it, you can actually click on it and download it in your own computer.
Great.
So the slides that you did is actually now been shared. So
okay,
there we go.
Okay. Is there anything that any of you are sort of anxious about, or I can help you with?
Just raise your hand and we'll acknowledge you, and you can unmute yourself. All right, we got a team of experts here. That's good.
Yeah, I guess so. Yay. I'm such a great teacher that you don't have any questions, I know.
There we go.
Oh, no.
Go ahead, Jacqueline.
Well,
go
I
first.
just want to thank you because I thought I was the only person who was totally confused by the DAC database whole thing that I find terrifying. So I'm glad to know I'm not alone. Thank you.
You are, and you guys are always welcome to get in contact with me as well.
Yeah. Nancy, you had a question? Go ahead and unmute yourself. There we go.
Okay, yes. Actually, it's not a question. It's more I have been taking attendance because this is actually completing my second year, but it's taken me 2 years to really get. Of course, the first year was with COVID through, so that was kind of awkward or different, I'm sure. But I have not been turning it in to the district, and nobody sent me a message. And so I was told at some point early on that they suspended that, but it sounds like no, not anymore. So I should be doing that through DAC-DB.
Well, maybe
I
I
have
can
it all
answer that,
recorded,
Karen.
but
Nancy, I didn't hear the very beginning of what you said.
I have all the attendance and all the anything that people have done over the year, but I never have turned that into the district.
Are you talking about Rotary International?
No, 50-30. You commented about, and I know that in the past they had to report attendance to 50-30.
Oh,
I'd like to answer that.
Okay.
As
I'm
a
not
past
hearing it well.
district governor, Nancy, it has been suspended. It's not a requirement. However, it's strongly encouraged that every club does it. The reason why is because a lot of clubs don't. Once in a while, you'll notice somebody who's been missing from the club for 3 months, and you don't know the reasons why. And it turns out they've been sick or they've been ill, and so it's very important to kind of keep track of all these people. And attendance is very important, but it's not a requirement at this time.
oh, attendance, yeah.
Yeah, attendance is not a requirement.
Our president asks every month at the board meeting, asks me, what percentage of people are showing up? And this year was Zoom, and so if it's 70%, and what member hasn't been around for a good long while, and then I can, look at that very easily and document that. I know, I think the old days you couldn't, you could only miss one meeting a quarter or something, Bill, wasn't that right? I mean, it was really important to be there at every meeting.
Important.
Yeah.
Unless you have an excuse, correct.
Can I say something here?
John, go in.
John Schwag of the Bellevue Breakfast Rotary. I am new to the role of secretary as of last March. Our prior secretary left the club, moved out of town in February. My only role here is to closely track the board of directors meetings and keep and maintain the minutes. I find that, I won't say a full-time job, but a very demanding task. I'm happy to do it. All these other functions, we have a paid administrative assistant who does these issues of DAC-DB and attendance and badges and whatnot. We have another person who's obviously a volunteer member who does our public relations. He does Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. So what you, Karen, described, we have dispersed around the club. Am I the only one in that position? Does nobody else have an executive assistant, a salaried executive secretary?
No,
You don't. I've never heard of that.
I guess only we do.
Yeah, no.
Seattle 4, for instance, back when I was district governor, the key is to if you can do it, put a team around you and help you out. If you have people that are really good at Facebook and really good at doing those, really good at computer, just work as a team because we're all volunteers. So I applaud Bellevue Breakfast because they have a little team, they have a little work going, and then it eliminates the work of all the volunteers. Instead of one person doing all the work, you share it. And we're only talking about 20 minutes a week instead of spending more time. So
It's closer to 4 or 5 hours per month, the board of directors meeting plus a follow-up and the consultations and the minutes and the redrafting. It's a task. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but it's not trivial.
No, yeah, I would encourage that. I know that the Mark Maloney, Maloney, he encouraged, remember the membership, having 4 or 5 members, part of that committee. So anything you can do to build up your committee and instead of being an island by yourself, it's very important. You can go ahead and do that. Ask for help. You'd be surprised how many people would step up and help.
This is a system that I inherited from prior years, and it actually works very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
I have a comment.
at the beginning of the meeting, I did say, you know, we have someone that does Facebook, another person does the newsletter. I mean, that doesn't all fall on the secretary. So I agree with Bill, try to spread it around.
Ing had a question. Yes, ma'am.
No, I had a comment actually.
Sure.
I'm with the Edmonds Noon Rotary Club, and the secretary's position is split into 2. One does all the attendance and all that, and I do the board minutes and, you know, sort of the paperwork part.
Okay.
I'm new to this club, but I was a secretary in my previous club in Wisconsin, and I did everything, and it was a lot of work. You know, I mean, attendance, membership,
Yeah.
ordering stuff. It was, so this time when I agreed to take the job, I said, as long as it's split.
Good idea. Yeah. Yeah, I think it depends how big your club is, and I think every club is different. Like
Right.
LA Forest Park, our president this year is an attorney. Well, you know, he can do a lot of that paperwork and that I can't. And so people just take on what they're comfortable with, I think. And yeah, every club is different, how the duties are split up. Okay, well, anything else? I will be happy to ask Larry, you know, if he's got this all online and he can send the file to Bill. I promise to look into that when he gets home.
I would like to echo what you said though, too, Karen, that DAC-DB they are very responsive. And if I cannot figure something out, like you, I'll really struggle with it. Why won't this work for me? And then I'll finally, you know, do the support at DAC-DB and I get a response really within 10 or 12 hours for certain, sometimes less. And I always explain my whole question. They pretty much take care of it and walk me through how to deal with it. So then I think to myself, why did I wait so long? I should just
I know.
ask them up straight. So
I know.
because the RI Compare is when I open it, I always want to see no red, and there's just always some red, and in the struggle to make sure to get it all right. But
Yeah, there's always some. They don't allow you to change some district wide. There's a few things that you cannot change, even though you'd like to. I found. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Bill.